All right, good morning.
All right, listener, that's the much we can take on the newspaper review this morning. And today we have in the studio a man of honor, a man of esteemed valor, a man highly respected in the society, Honorable Isiaq Babatunde Adigun Gbadamosi, also known as IBA. He is Change Ambassador for Peace and Humanity. Today we'll be looking at poverty, high rate of poverty in the land, and how to curb it. Before I go to our guest, let me just lay this foundation. Bello, yesterday there was news that filtered on the Nation newspaper that the Senate are asking the federal government to ban the importation of textile in order to create more job opportunities for Nigerians so that we can alleviate poverty. Now, let's go into the discussion. Honorable, in the layman's language, so that we'll just make people understand out there, for the sake of this program, what is poverty?
Well, thank you very much. First and foremost, let me say good morning to the good people of the Plateau. It's a very beautiful place to be. I've been enjoying myself since I came in, and I want to thank you for having me. Coming to the issue of poverty. Poverty, you can simply define with so many words. It's a lack. It's deficiency of resources, deficiency of wealth, all the things you need to live a comfortable life for an average human being. The very instance all of these are deficient, then you have poverty kicking in. Ordinarily, people don't understand what this concept is, but some people are there who really understand and know how it works, so they can either perpetuate it or alleviate it and eradicate it completely, because we have societies where poverty has been completely eradicated. It's very possible. So poverty in itself is a situation that is brought about by human being, and we as human must do everything we can to see how we eliminate it. Okay, so it's a complete lack of education, lack of knowledge, lack of money, lack of resources to survive, depth of ideas and all of that, and it leads from one step to another. It's a kind of a gradual step thing, where you move from a stage to a worse stage, then to a worse stage, and all like that.
Okay, now let me ask this. Now, in the Nigerian perspective, today, if a job vacancy is advertised, either government or private, when you go for the recruitment or whatever interview, you will think that all Nigerians are jobless. You will think all Nigerians are poor.
Yeah.
Now the question is, what do you think is really responsible, because we are looking at poverty in Nigeria today, okay? What do you think is responsible for the high rate of poverty in Nigeria? Because, as Bello would always say, it is wearing agbada and ashoke and staring us in the eyes.
Yes.
Poverty is, if you don't find the definition in the dictionary, come to the average Nigerian and you will see the definition of poverty. What do you think is responsible?
Good, thank you very much. Very good question. You see, we can classify that into about two areas. First, we have to look at our history. How do I mean? If you go back 400, 500, 600 years backwards, you will see that there were times when our society in Africa, we had society that were based on different kind of economic organizations. We have people who are into weaving, who are into farming, who are into various endeavors. So we were able to take care of ourselves. We had a management of our economy. You cannot say as at that time, because take a look at the history of this continent. You will see great people, great society, great communities have evolved over time. Is it at the peak of the Odo Empire? Is it the Benin? Is it the Canon Borno Empire? Those were things that thrived based on very good economy, management, and all of that. But what happened? What happened was that at a point in time, I can still remember vividly when the Portuguese came into Nigeria. The first God went into Benin, and they saw that there were roads, paved roads, with even street lights as at the 14th century, when the Benin people, the Portuguese came in and traded with our people. They came in based on trade. But you know what happened? When the issue of colonization and slave trade started, that was when the thing about poverty started getting injected in the system of the African people. How do I mean? You see, we got to a stage whereby we were played against ourselves. We tell this man, you are from this part of the country, you speak this language, this man doesn't speak your language. You are from this religion, this man is not your religion. This is the religion that is better than this. So when they started playing us against ourselves, then we started warring. And when we started warring, we started now saying, okay, we have to dominate these people. And then we have to capture slaves. And then we have to sell these slaves. And all of this started. It went on through the Trans-Sahara trade, through the transatlantic trade. All of this went on. And this was when the seed of poverty, for me, was sowed in the continent of Africa. And it continued, because if you look at those people who came then, what were they giving us? When we trade with them, they were giving us guns and gunpowder, they were giving us shinap and all of that, and we used that to capture and destroy our economy, our people, and the bonds we have created over time. And all of this were things that sowed the seed of poverty. Now, fast forwarding that, if you look at how it went, you start taking it to the time of when the British colonized the country, and then the amalgamation of Nigeria to the independence. You will see that even our leaders, as at the time of independence, we had all these dichotomies. Rather than for us to start fighting the issue of how do we develop this country we have, how do we develop its people, we were all about ourselves. The average Hausa Fulani was pursuing an Hausa Fulani agenda. The Yoruba man was pursuing a Yoruba agenda. The Igbo man was like, no, we are the people, we are the engineers of this place. So everybody was in a contest based on what has been sold all the while. So we were not bothered. We are fighting ourselves, and that is what we are still doing till date, which is most unfortunate. I will cite you an example with a country like Singapore. Singapore at a time was like Nigeria, because Singapore is a country that is made up of so many people, different tribes. You have the Indians, you have the Chinese, you have the Lebanese, you have so many kind of people in Singapore. And they had all this ethnic struggle and even religious struggle until when they had a leader who galvanized the country together. I'm talking of Lee Kuan Yew. Galvanized the country together and brought the people together and started trading on what is important. How do we get this country to a stage where it benefits its people? And within a period of 3 decades, Singapore had moved from a third world country to a first world country.
Well,
and today,
will it be because Lee Kuan Yew had the entire time in the war, because they didn't even adopt democracy? He was ruling, and he ensured that some of his policies, the templates and the foundation were implemented.
Beautiful. You see, Lee Kuan Yew had in mind to build a nation. Okay? So it was not about whether the time he had or not. It was about what he had. Okay, let me give you an example of our countries in Africa. We've had leaders who have stayed for 10 years, 20 years. Presently, we have leaders who have been in power for over 30 years.
Paul Biya of Cameroon.
Cameroon is still there. I was in secondary school when Paul Biya was ruling, and he's still there as president today. No, so you can imagine, it's not about the length of time. It's about the leader, the commitment of that leader toward the development of his country and his people. So what we can use to solve this problem effectively, haven't identified the problem, and haven't looked at the sense of history of where we are coming from and how we have been divided and all of that, is for us to see how do we get a leadership that is focused and understand the politics of the West, how they've been playing us against ourselves. How do we galvanize ourselves together?
That's the first step.
That is the first step.
So we can't fight poverty if we are not united.
We cannot. We continue to fight ourselves. And because we're fighting ourselves, there is no way we can make progress, because we will not see the bigger picture. And the bigger picture is how do I tell people, I say, I've been to Plateau State, to Jos severally. I grew up in Bauchi, Gombe. And I say, Plateau State is a state with a kind of a weather condition similar to that of Netherlands. So many things can do well here. Netherlands today exports dairy product to every part of the world.
Yes.
Why can't Plateau be like that? All that we need is for us to have a vision and a focus and to see the bigger picture, because these people that are dividing us have not stopped. It was just recently that the president signed into law in the United Kingdom a law that gives us some of our money back. Can you imagine that all this while we were selling fuel, and even when the price increased, we don't even derive benefit from it? And it was just recently that was done. How many of such laws do we have that perpetuate our people and our government in poverty? We need to look at those things, and the leadership is what is most important in this case. And that's why I tell everybody that cares to listen, I say our leadership recruitment process is very faulty. We have had the military regime, and it has not done us any good. We need to identify great leaders, and we need to look at, first, we need to solve the problem. And let me say something about the great African Nelson Mandela. I'll paraphrase what he said. I can't remember exactly his quote. He said in one of his quotes that poverty is not a thing that was created by God. It is man-made. We, human beings, created poverty. And the art of fighting poverty also is not a act of charity. It's a duty that we have as human to ourselves. It's not the act of charity. So, and he likened poverty to the apartheid regime in South Africa. And that if you are able to fight it, you can completely eradicate what is poverty. And we have seen it done. Somebody was speaking recently, and he said he traveled to a country like Canada and he couldn't find any poor person there. If you go to a country like Norway, country like Sweden, they are shutting down their prison systems because they are not having any convicts in those prisons.
They are even turning them to schools.
Good. They are even encouraging people to give birth to children, and they are paying them for it, paternity leave and all of that. That is to tell you that you can do away with poverty.